So some of you might be having trouble with Chapter 3. Chapter 3 being quite a big difficulty spike from Chapter 2 and 1, where you can now kind of roll your face over all enemies, especially since they nerf Ada, which is, I believe, 217. The hard parts of Chapter 3 is figuring out what is going on. So what is happening now is that most likely you are not targeting the enemy's fatal blunt resistance. If you bring piercing characters, you're doing less damage and you're not able to stagger the enemies. So in human fights, you are not able to control exactly who is hitting who. It's not the same as Library of Ruinous Combat, where you could intercept certain attacks. So in this game, it's more of a kill or be killed situation. So in order to stagger the enemies before they stagger you, you want to kill them faster, so you will use blunt here. And this will apply for the entire of Chapter 3 until you get to the dungeon. I'll get back to that later. So, what I used to clear, is Faust, Quixote, Rhodia, Otis, and Gregor. So, what I would recommend you guys do is find which characters you have that apply a lot of blunt. And there are a lot of free-to-play options as well. Heath has 3 blunt skills, and he has an ego that does blunt damage. Very strong character. He also enables Tremor because he had this skill that bursts Tremor. And you need burst Tremor to activate Tremor. Faust is another great option. She was one of my highest DPSs actually for this fight. And I'm using her zero form. The characters all can be used, so don't worry too much about what characters you're trying to bring. So Faust is very good because she has an AoE blunt attack and it heals SP. And if you guys don't know what SP does, SP allows you to roll hits more. So how you would read this over here is I roll a base of 19. If I roll hits, I get +4. So I'll either roll between 19 or 23. So SP increases the chance of you rolling hits, increases the chance that you get a max roll. Alright, that's the gist of it. Besides Faust, you can also use any of Herselt's forms, from what I understand. 00 and 0 have triple blunt, and he has a base ego that applies blunt as well. Chain of others. Pretty decent. Energy cost is pretty cheap actually, if you can manage to cover this. Anything with 1 or 2 tends to be very cheap from my understanding. Faust is actually one of the cheaper ones because I know she's 2 and 4, but honestly, when I was playing with Yisang a lot, Yisang was generating a lot of blues as well. So maybe you could build a team comp around Faust, can build a team comp around Heath, can build a team comp around Herselt. As long as you're spamming that blunt damage, you are staggering the enemies, they are not attacking you anymore, you are doing true damage to them, full damage, times 2 damage sometimes, and then you will win the fight really easily. In this case, if I had to do it again, I would not bring Gregor anymore, because Gregor only had slash and puncture. But Gregor's ego is blunt. So if you want, you can find one of his forms. Maybe does his base form have good blunt? No, his base form is not blunt. What about you? Okay, he does have a blunt form. The Liu Section 6 Gregor has a blunt form, so another great option to use if you want to clear this stage. Now, why did I say the dungeon was a tricky one? Is because some of the abnormalities do not share the same blunt weakness as the knights and the guards. What you will need to do for 322 is you will need to bring Pierce and maybe 1 or 2 slashers. As long as you have some sort of coverage for that move, you will be able to handle the dungeon well. I'm not going to spoil the dungeon because some people prefer it that way, but one of the bosses needs Pierce. That's all I will say. So with that in mind, oh, and I forgot to mention, for the dungeon, if you are stuck or if you want to experiment, it's actually free. When I first tried, I was not able to clear because I ran out of resources. And if I wanted to reset, I could reset to the nearest checkpoint, and I could also quit out for free. So I could restart this whole dungeon, and you gave me back all of my anchor full-in cores. Yep, so that's all for this tutorial. I hope you guys will be able to break through. I managed to clear with level 20, so I'm sure you guys can do it as well. Alright, good luck.